Have you ever sat by the emergency exit on a plane? You know the drill. The flight attendant comes over, makes eye contact with you and the person next to you, and asks if you're willing and able to help in an emergency. It's a moment of shared responsibility, a brief connection with a stranger. For me, that stranger was him. We both nodded, a silent agreement. He had kind eyes that crinkled at the corners when he smiled. I noticed a well-worn novel peeking out of his bag. We were an unlikely pair, thrown together by airline safety protocols. We were seated side by side because of a rule, a precaution for a disaster that would likely never happen. Little did I know, a different kind of disaster, one of the heart, was about to unfold. We didn't know it then, but the very rule that brought us together would also become a symbol of how our love story was destined to break. The flight was long, from New York to Tokyo. Plenty of time to talk. We started with the usual stuff, where we were from, what we did. He was an architect, heading to a conference. I was a photographer, chasing cherry blossoms. Our conversation flowed effortlessly, like we'd known each other for years. We talked about our dreams, our fears, the books we loved, the music that moved us. By the time we landed, I felt a spark I hadn't felt in a long time. He asked for my number, and my heart did a little flip. Our week in Tokyo was a dream. We explored ancient temples, got lost in bustling markets, and ate the most amazing ramen in tiny, hidden alleys. Every day was an adventure. He saw the world in lines and structures. I saw it in light and moments. We showed each other new ways of seeing. It felt like we were the main characters in our own movie. One evening, under the glowing Tokyo Tower, he took my hand and told me he was falling for me. And I, without a second of hesitation, told him I felt the same. We were two strangers, now intertwined. But just like that flight, our time together had a destination, an endpoint. The week ended. We found ourselves back at the airport. The sterile environment, a stark contrast to the vibrant week we'd shared. The mood was heavy. We knew we lived on opposite sides of the world. A long-distance relationship. It seemed daunting, almost impossible. But we promised to try. We promised to make it work. We believed our connection was strong enough to withstand the miles. The first few months were filled with late-night video calls and expensive plane tickets. Every reunion was a burst of joy. Every goodbye a fresh wave of heartache. We were trying so hard to bridge the gap. But distance is a cruel thief. It steals the small moments, the shared morning coffees, the comforting hugs after a long day. Misunderstandings grew in the silences between calls. The time difference became a constant, exhausting battle. We were living separate lives, desperately trying to pretend we weren't. The emergency exit. I kept thinking about it. We were chosen for that seat because we were able-bodied, ready to act, to open the door and help others escape a crisis. In our relationship, we were also at an emergency exit. The pressure was building. The cabin of our love story was losing altitude. We had to make a choice. Either we open the door and jump, saving ourselves from the inevitable crash, or we go down with it. It was a painful realization. Our love, born from a rule of safety, had become the emergency itself. The final conversation was the hardest. There were no villains, no one to blame, just two people who loved each other, but were being torn apart by circumstances. We acknowledged the beautiful, whirlwind romance we'd had. We cried for the future we had imagined, but would never get to live. We agreed to open the door, to let each other go. It was an act of love, a painful act of self-preservation. He sat by the emergency exit to save others, but in the end, our love broke because we had to save ourselves. Sometimes, the most loving thing you can do is let someone go, even if it breaks you. Thanks for watching. If you've ever had a love that was beautiful but impossible, let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories.